The child's hands shook so violently she could barely hold the cardboard sign. $5. That's all she needed to unlock the truth about how they murdered her father. The massive war dog pressed against her legs wasn't for sale. He was her last line of defense against the men who'd been following them for 3 days straight. When the Navy SEAL stopped mid-run and read those words, when he saw the terror in her eyes and the tactical alertness in the dog's posture, he knew this wasn't a rescue mission. This was war. Before we dive into this story, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. This journey is going to take us places you won't expect, and I need you with me until the very end. Also, I'm really curious. Drop your city or country in the comments below. I love seeing how far these stories travel and knowing you're out there listening. The morning cold bit through Emma Reyes's thin jacket like knives she couldn't see but felt everywhere. Her fingers had stopped hurting an hour ago, which scared her more than when they'd burned with cold. Titan sat beside her on the pier, his massive body the only warm thing in her world, his brown eyes scanning the parking lot with the kind of focus that made her feel safe and terrified at the same time. "It's okay, boy," she whispered, but her voice cracked. "Someone will help. Daddy said someone would help." Titan's ear flicked toward her, acknowledging her words, but he didn't break his watch. He never broke his watch. That's what military working dogs did. That's what Daddy had trained him to do. The sign hung from her neck, written in her own shaky 10-year-old handwriting. "Please help. $5 to save my dad." People had walked past all morning. Some stared, some looked away quickly, like her pain might be contagious. One woman had pulled out her phone, probably to call someone, but then a man touched her arm and they kept walking. Nobody stopped. Nobody asked. Nobody cared enough to wonder why a little girl was sitting alone on a freezing pier with a dog that looked like he belonged in a war zone. Because he did. Emma's stomach cramped with hunger, but she'd learned to ignore that. 3 days without real food taught you things. 3 days running taught you even more. "We just need $5, she told Titan, pressing her face into his neck. His fur smelled like Daddy, like duty and sacrifice and promises kept. "Then we get into the locker. Then we show everyone what they did." Titan tensed suddenly, his entire body shifting into a different mode. Emma felt it instantly, that change from watchful to ready. Her heart hammered. "What is it?" she breathed. The black SUV rolled past the pier entrance for the 3rd time in 20 minutes. Same vehicle, same tinted windows, same slow, hunting pace. They'd found her again. Emma's breath came faster, panic rising like ice water in her chest. She started to stand, to run, but Titan pushed against her legs, holding her in place. His low growl vibrated through her body. Not the angry growl he used with strangers. The tactical growl. The one that meant, "Stay behind me. I've got the threat." "We have to go," Emma whispered, tears burning her eyes. "They're going to—" "Hey there." The voice came from her right, and both Emma and Titan spun toward it. A man stood about 10 feet away, hands visible, posture non-threatening, but everything about him screamed military. Even in civilian running clothes, he moved like Daddy used to, like every step had purpose, like his body was a weapon he'd learned to control perfectly. Titan's growl deepened. "Easy, boy," the man said, not moving closer. "I'm not here to hurt anyone." Emma clutched Titan's collar, her whole body shaking now. The man was tall, broad-shouldered, probably in his mid-30s. His eyes were sharp, kind, and sad all at once. The same eyes Daddy had worn after his last deployment. "Please," Emma heard herself say, hating how small her voice sounded. "Please, I just need $5. I'm not begging. I'm not—" Her throat closed up. The man's gaze dropped to her sign, and something changed in his face. Not pity, something harder. Something that looked like recognition. $5 to save your dad? He asked quietly. Emma nodded, wiping her nose with her sleeve. Titan shifted his weight, still coiled tight, still ready to attack if this stranger made one wrong move. Sweetheart, what's your name? Emma. The word came out automatically, even though Daddy had told her never to give her real name to strangers. But something about this man felt different. Something about the way he stood, the way he looked at Titan, not with fear, but with respect. I'm Jack, the man said, and I need you to tell me the truth, Emma. Where are your parents? The question broke something inside. Emma felt the tears spill over, hot against her frozen cheeks. My daddy's gone, she whispered. He died 3 weeks ago. They said it was an accident, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Jack's jaw tightened. Who's they? The people who killed him. Emma's voice dropped to barely audible. The people who are looking for me. Titan barked once, sharp and urgent. His eyes locked on the parking lot. The black SUV had stopped. The driver's door was opening. Jack saw it at the exact same moment. His entire body language shifted, and Emma recognized that shift. She'd seen it in Daddy 100 times. The switch from civilian to operator, from man to warrior. Emma? Jack said, his voice calm but commanding. Is that vehicle following you? She nodded, unable to speak past the terror closing her throat. How long? 3 days. Since I left the house. Since I took Titan and ran. Jack moved then, stepping between Emma and the parking lot, his body a human shield. Listen to me very carefully. I'm a Navy SEAL. If what you're telling me is true, if someone is hunting you, I'm not letting them take you. Do you understand? Emma stared up at him, and somewhere in her chest a tiny spark of hope flickered. Daddy had told her about SEALs. Daddy had been a SEAL before he became a canine handler. Daddy had said they were the best warriors in the world, men who never left anyone behind. Daddy was a SEAL too, she whispered. Chief Petty Officer Marcus Reyes. Jack's head snapped toward her, his eyes widening. Marcus Reyes was your father? You knew him? I knew of him. He was legendary in the canine community. They said he was killed in a training accident at Coronado 3 weeks ago. That's what they said. Emma's voice turned fierce despite her fear. But Daddy didn't die in training. They murdered him because he found out what they were doing. And now they want what he hid. And they think I know where it is. Do you? Emma reached into her jacket and pulled out a small key attached to a worn dog tag chain. Titan's tag. The one Daddy had given her the night before he died. Locker 237 at the Marina storage facility, she said. Daddy told me if anything happened, I should take Titan and get what's inside. But it costs $5 to get past the gate. Jack stared at the key, then at her, then at Titan, who had stopped growling but remained locked in protective stance. The dog, Jack said slowly. This is Titan, Marcus's MWD partner. He's all I have left, Emma breathed. And he knows. He knows who killed Daddy. He knows who's dangerous. As if to prove her point, Titan's lips pulled back from his teeth, a low snarl building in his chest. The man from the SUV was walking toward the pier, his hand inside his jacket. Jack's voice dropped to a command tone Emma recognized from every military movie Daddy had ever made her watch. Emma, I need you to trust me right now. Can you do that? She looked up at him, at this stranger who somehow didn't feel like a stranger, and nodded. Good. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stand up slowly, take Titan's collar, and walk with me to my truck. It's the gray Ford at the north end of the lot. You're going to move calmly, like we're just talking. When we get there, you and Titan get in the back seat, you get down on the floor, and you don't make a sound. Understand? What about, I'll handle him. But Emma, I need you to listen. Has Titan chosen you as his handler? The question seemed random, but Emma understood. In military working dog culture, the dog chose who to protect, who to follow. After Daddy died, Titan had refused to let anyone else touch him. Not the Navy handlers who came, not the men in suits who showed up asking questions. Only Emma. Yes, she said. He won't leave me. Then tell him I'm friendly. Tell him I'm Pack. Because if we're going to survive the next 5 minutes, that dog needs to trust me as much as you do. Emma's hand shook as she touched Titan's head. Titan, listen. This is Jack. He's like Daddy. He's going to help us. Friend. Understand? Friend. Titan's ears swiveled toward her, processing. His growl faded by a fraction. He looked up at Jack, amber eyes measuring, calculating, deciding. Then, slowly, Titan's tail moved. Just once. A small wag. The tension in Jack's shoulders eased slightly. Smart dog. Okay, on my mark, we move. Ready? Emma stood, her legs trembling. The man from the SUV was 30 yards away now, walking faster. Now, Jack said. They moved across the pier, Emma's hand tight on Titan's collar, Jack's body positioned to block any line of sight. Emma could hear her heartbeat in her ears, feel every second stretching like hours. 20 yards to the truck. 15. Hey! The man's voice cut through the morning air. Hey, little girl! Jack didn't stop. Keep walking, Emma. 10 yards. Footsteps behind them, faster now, almost running. I said stop! 5 yards. Jack's hand moved to his pocket. Emma saw the outline of something there, something weapon-shaped. And then they were at the truck. Jack yanked the door open. In, now! Emma scrambled into the back seat, Titan leaping in after her. Jack slammed the door and turned to face the approaching man. Through the window, Emma watched Jack plant himself between the truck and the threat, his stance wide, his voice carrying clear authority. Can I help you with something? The man stopped, clearly surprised to find another adult male in his way. He was big, muscular, with cold eyes and a scar across his left cheek. Emma recognized him. He'd been at their house the night Daddy died. She'd seen him through the crack in her closet door, heard his voice telling someone, "The kid might know where Reyes hid it." That girl, the man said, trying for casual but landing on menacing. She's my niece, Runaway. We've been looking everywhere. Jack's voice stayed level, but Emma heard the steel underneath. Really? What's her name? The man hesitated, just a half second, but it was enough. Emma, he said. Last name? Another pause. Listen, buddy, I don't know who you are, but Lieutenant Commander Jack Harrison, Naval Special Warfare Command. And you're not her uncle, because Emma's uncle died in Fallujah in 2007. Marcus Reyes mentioned him when we crossed paths at a SEAL reunion 2 years ago. So I'm going to ask you one more time, and I suggest you think very carefully about your answer. Who are you, and why are you following a 10-year-old girl? The man's hand moved inside his jacket. Jack moved faster. Emma couldn't see exactly what happened next. It was too quick, too brutal. But suddenly the man was on the ground, his arm twisted behind his back, Jack's knee in his spine. Emma, Jack called, his voice perfectly calm despite the violence. "Is this one of the men who came to your house?" She found her voice somehow. "Yes, he was there, the night Daddy died." Jack's expression darkened. He pulled out his phone with his free hand, pressed it to his ear. "This is Harrison. I need NCIS and local PD to Pier 19, North End. I've got a hostile in custody who's been stalking a Navy dependent. Possible connection to Chief Petty Officer Marcus Reyes's death." He paused, listening. "I don't care if it's been classified as accidental. Get someone here now." He ended the call and looked down at the man beneath him. "You're going to stay very still," Jack said quietly. "Because that little girl in my truck? Her father was a warrior who died protecting what matters. And I'm not letting you or anyone else finish what you started." The man spat blood. "You have no idea what you're getting into." "Then I guess I'm about to find out." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Emma stayed pressed against the truck floor, Titan's body covering hers, his warmth seeping into her frozen bones. Through the window, she could see more vehicles arriving, police cruisers, unmarked sedans with government plates. Jack didn't move, didn't release his hold, not until two men in suits approached with credentials held high. "NCIS Special Agent Chen," one said. "We'll take it from here, Lieutenant Commander." Jack stood slowly, watching the man get hauled to his feet and handcuffed. Then he turned to the truck and opened the door. "Emma, you can come out now. You're safe." But Emma didn't feel safe. She felt like a dam breaking, like every ounce of fear and grief and exhaustion from the past 3 weeks was flooding out all at once. She climbed out of the truck and did something she hadn't done since Daddy died. She ran to Jack and threw her arms around his waist, sobbing into his jacket. Jack stiffened for just a moment, clearly not expecting it. Then his large hand settled gently on her head. "It's all right," he murmured. "I've got you. You did good, Emma. You stayed strong. Your dad would be proud." Titan pressed against both of them, a furry shield of loyalty and protection. Agent Chen approached, his expression grave. "We need to ask the girl some questions." "Later," Jack said, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Right now, she needs food, warmth, and safety. In that order." "Lieutenant Commander, you want answers? So do I. But not here, not like this." Jack looked down at Emma. "She said her father was murdered. She said people are hunting her, and I just caught one of them red-handed. So unless you're going to tell me I'm wrong, we're doing this my way." Chen studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Your location? I'll text you the address. Give us 2 hours." As they walked back to Jack's truck, Emma's legs nearly gave out. The adrenaline was crashing, leaving her hollow and shaking. "Almost there," Jack said, steadying her. "Can you make it?" "I have to," Emma whispered. "I have to get to that locker. I have to show everyone what Daddy found." Jack helped her into the passenger seat this time, Titan settling in the back. He started the engine, cranked the heat up high, and pulled a protein bar from the glove compartment. "Eat this slowly. Your stomach's going to hate you if you wolf it down." Emma tore open the wrapper with trembling fingers, taking small bites even though she wanted to devour it. The food tasted like heaven and cardboard all at once. "Why did you help me?" she asked between bites. Jack's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "Because 14 years ago, my little brother was 10 years old when our father, a Marine, was killed in action. People told us it was an accident too, a training mishap. Years later, we found out he'd been silenced for reporting contractor fraud." Emma's breath caught. "Did you ever get justice?" "No," Jack said quietly. By the time we learned the truth, the people responsible had covered their tracks too well. The evidence was gone. The witnesses were scared silent. He glanced at her. But you still have evidence. You still have a chance. And I'll be damned if I let them take that from you. They drove in silence for a few minutes, Emma finishing the protein bar, warmth slowly creeping back into her body. "Jack?" she said softly. "Yeah?" "Daddy told me something before he died. He said if anything happened, Titan would know who to trust. He said Titan had been trained to choose a new handler if his primary was killed in action." She swallowed hard. "Titan chose you. Back there on the pier, when he wagged his tail? He chose you." Jack glanced in the rearview mirror at the massive dog, who met his gaze with intelligent, knowing eyes. "Military working dogs don't choose lightly," Jack said. "I know." David said they're better judges of character than people. They sense things we can't. Emma's voice dropped to a whisper. "Titan growled at everyone who came to the house after Daddy died. Everyone. But not you." The truck pulled into a quiet residential neighborhood, stopping in front of a small, neat house with security cameras visible at every corner. Jack killed the engine. "This is my place. It's secure. We'll get you cleaned up, fed properly, and then we're going to that storage locker together. All three of us. Deal?" Emma nodded, feeling something unfamiliar stirring in her chest. Hope. Fragile and terrifying, but real. They walked to the door, Titan between them, and Jack punched in a security code. Inside, the house was sparse but clean, the kind of place that belonged to someone who spent more time deployed than home. "Bathroom's down the hall," Jack said. "There's a first aid kit under the sink. Clean up, warm up. I'll make some real food." But Emma didn't move. She stood in the entryway, Titan pressed against her side, and looked up at the Navy SEAL who'd appeared out of nowhere to save her life. "Why do you live alone?" she asked suddenly. The question seemed to surprise him. "What?" "No pictures, no family stuff. You're a SEAL and you're home, but everything here looks temporary." Jack's expression flickered with something painful. "I lost my wife 4 years ago. Cancer. We never had kids. After she died, I threw myself into work, deployments, missions, anything to not be here alone." "But you came back this time?" "Pre-deployment leave. I ship out in 2 weeks." Emma's heart sank. 2 weeks. That was all the time she had before her only protector disappeared across an ocean to fight wars she didn't understand. "Hey," Jack said gently, crouching to her level. 2 weeks is enough time to get you safe. Enough time to expose whoever killed your father. Enough time to make sure you and Titan have somewhere good to go, and then you leave. And then I do my job, just like your dad did his." Titan pushed his massive head between them, looking from Emma to Jack and back again. Then he did something Emma had only seen him do with Daddy. He sat, placed one paw on Jack's boot, and held it there. The handler's salute. The bond request. Jack stared down at the dog, emotions warring across his face. "Titan, buddy, I'm not your handler. I can't." Titan barked. Once. Final. Decided. Emma felt tears burning again. "He doesn't care what you think you can't do. He's choosing you anyway." Jack looked at her, this small girl with her dead father's war dog, both of them looking at him like he was the answer to prayers he wasn't sure he deserved. "Okay," he said finally. "Okay. Let's get you fed, and then let's go find out what your dad died protecting." Emma showered quickly, washing away 3 days of fear and cold, changing into an oversized SEAL team sweatshirt Jack had left on the bathroom counter. When she emerged, she found him in the kitchen, plating eggs and toast. They ate in silence, Titan accepting pieces of sausage from both of them, his tail thumping contentedly. "Ready?" Jack asked when they'd finished. Emma nodded, clutching the storage locker key so tightly it left an imprint on her palm. 20 minutes later, they stood in front of Unit 237 at the San Diego Marina storage facility. Jack had paid the $5 gate fee without comment, and now Emma slid the key into the lock. Her hands shook. Inside this locker was the truth, the proof, the reason Daddy had died, and the reason she'd been running scared for days. The lock clicked open. Jack pulled the door up slowly. Inside, a single waterproof case sat on the concrete floor. Military grade, sealed tight. Emma reached for it, but Titan suddenly pushed past her, sniffing the case carefully, methodically, the way he'd been trained to check for explosives or traps. After a moment, he sat. Safe. Jack lifted the case out and set it on the ground. Emma knelt beside it, entering the combination Daddy had made her memorize. 0517. May 17th. Her birthday. The latches released. Inside, a USB drive. A journal filled with Daddy's handwriting. A stack of photographs. And a letter with her name on it. Emma's hands trembled as she unfolded the letter. My sweet Emma girl, if you're reading this, it means I didn't make it home. I'm so sorry, baby. I tried to do everything right. I tried to protect you. But some fights you can't win alone. The USB drive has evidence of a weapons smuggling operation running through Naval Base San Diego. Bad people, including people I trusted, are using military shipments to move illegal weapons to criminal organizations. When I found out, I reported it through official channels. That's when they came after me. I couldn't go to the police because some of them are involved too. I couldn't trust my command because corruption goes higher than I can see. So I documented everything. Names, dates, shipment numbers, financial transactions. It's all there. Emma, I need you to get this to someone outside the system, someone who can't be bought or scared off. I left you clues about who to trust. Look for the man with the trident and the broken heart. He'll understand loss. He'll understand duty. And most importantly, Titan will trust him. I love you forever, baby girl. Be brave. Be smart. And remember, warriors never quit. Love, Daddy. Emma's tears splattered onto the paper, smudging the ink. Jack read over her shoulder, his jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscles jumping. The trident and the broken heart, Jack said quietly. That's me. Seal trident insignia. My wife's death. Daddy knew, Emma whispered. He knew you'd help. He knew Titan would find you. Jack's voice was rough with emotion. Marcus left this for you to find me specifically. That means he knew what he was up against, and he knew who could be trusted. He picked up the USB drive, then the journal. His expression hardened as he flipped through pages filled with evidence, names, documentation. This is enough to bring down dozens of people, he said. But Emma, it also means you're in more danger than I realized. If this information gets out, everyone involved will. Titan's sudden growl cut him off. All three of them froze. The dog's ears were pinned back, his body low, his focus locked on something behind them. Jack moved instantly, positioning himself between Emma and the storage facility entrance. How many? He asked Titan, as if the dog could answer. Titan barked twice. "Two hostiles," Jack translated. He'd worked with enough MWDs to read their signals. "Emma, back of the unit, now!" She scrambled backward, pressing into the corner. Jack moved to the side of the door, his body coiled, ready. Footsteps approached. Slow, deliberate, confident. A voice called out, cold and professional. "Lieutenant Commander Harrison, we know you're in there. We know you have the girl and the evidence. Come out peacefully and nobody gets hurt." Jack's voice was ice. "Funny. That's exactly what I was going to tell you." Silence. Then, "You're outnumbered, outgunned, and that little girl can't run forever." "She doesn't have to run. She has me now." A dark laugh. "One SEAL against how many of us? Even you aren't that good, Harrison." "You're right," Jack said calmly. "I'm not one SEAL. I'm one SEAL with a 70-pound tactical assault weapon who's personally motivated to rip your throat out. Want to test those odds?" On cue, Titan's snarl deepened into something primal, something that promised violence. The footsteps hesitated. Jack pressed his advantage. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk away. I'm going to take this evidence and that little girl somewhere you'll never find them. And then I'm going to make sure every single person involved in Marcus Reyes's murder pays for what they did." "Big talk from a man with no weapon." Jack smiled, cold and dangerous. "Who said I don't have a weapon?" He'd palmed his phone during the exchange, fingers flying across the screen, sending the photos he'd taken of the journal pages, uploading them to 3 different secure servers, copying files from the USB drive to his cloud storage. "You see," Jack continued, "you can kill me. You can kill the girl. But you can't kill information that's already in the wind. So ask yourself, is it worth it? Is silencing us worth confirming everything Marcus Reyes documented?" A longer silence. Then the footsteps retreated. But Jack didn't relax. "They'll be back," he said quietly, "with more people, better weapons. This just bought us time." He scooped up the case, grabbed Emma's hand, and moved quickly toward the storage facility exit. Titan led the way, clearing corners, checking sightlines, every inch the military working dog he'd been trained to be. They reached Jack's truck without incident, but Emma could feel the danger pressing in from all sides, a noose tightening. "Where do we go now?" she asked as Jack pulled into traffic, driving fast but not recklessly. "Somewhere they won't expect. Somewhere off the grid." He glanced at her. "Emma, I need you to understand something. Those men, they're not going to stop. This evidence is worth billions to them. They'll kill to protect it." "Then we have to get it out. We have to tell everyone." "We will. But first, we need to make sure you survive long enough to see it through." Jack's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, and handed it to Emma. "Read that." The text was from Agent Chen. "Harrison, get the girl somewhere safe. We just learned Marcus Reyes's death is under investigation by a separate NCIS unit. Someone high up ordered it buried." "You're stirring up a hornet's nest. Trust no one in official channels until I verify who's clean." Emma's blood ran cold. "He's saying the people who killed Daddy are in the government." "Not just in it," Jack said grimly. "High enough to bury murder investigations." Titan whined from the back seat, sensing the tension. Emma reached back and touched his head. "It's okay, boy. We knew it was bad." But it wasn't okay. Nothing was okay. They'd escaped one threat, but how many more were waiting? How deep did this go? And how could one SEAL, one little girl, and one dog possibly stand against an enemy that powerful? Jack seems to read her thoughts. "Your dad stood against them, alone, and he got far enough to leave evidence that could destroy them. We're not alone, Emma. We have each other. We have Titan. And we have the truth. Is that enough? Jack's hands tightened on the wheel. It has to be. They drove through San Diego as the morning sun climbed higher, 3 souls bound together by tragedy and purpose, carrying secrets that powerful men would kill to keep buried. And somewhere behind them, in the shadows, those men were already mobilizing. The war Marcus Reyes had started was just beginning. Jack's apartment sat on the 3rd floor of a building that looked ordinary enough to blend in, but secure enough to make Emma feel like they'd crossed into a fortress. He punched in 3 different codes just to get them inside, and Titan swept every room before allowing Emma to sit down. "You're safe here," Jack said, heading to the kitchen. "Reinforced door, security cameras on every approach, and my neighbors are retired Marines who don't ask questions." Emma sank onto the couch, exhaustion crashing over her like a wave. Her whole body ached from 3 days of running, 3 days of fear, 3 days of carrying a weight no 10-year-old should carry. "I need to call Agent Chen," Jack said, pulling out his phone. "We need NCIS protection, official custody, somewhere they can—" "No." Emma's voice came out sharper than she intended. "No official anything. Not yet." Jack paused, phone in hand. "Emma, we can't do this alone." "Daddy tried official channels. That's what got him killed." Her throat tightened. "He reported it to his commanding officer. 2 days later, he was dead. They said he fell during a training exercise. But Daddy never fell. He was the best. Everyone said so." Jack sat down across from her, his voice gentle but firm. "I hear you, but we need allies. We need to look at what's on that drive first." Emma pulled the USB from her pocket, holding it like it might explode. "We need to know exactly what we're dealing with before we trust anyone." Something in Jack's expression shifted. Respect, maybe. Recognition that this little girl had survived 3 days on the run by being smart, not just lucky. "You're right," he said finally. "Let's see what your dad died protecting." He grabbed his laptop, but before he could plug in the drive, Titan moved between him and the computer. The dog sat rigid, staring at Jack with an intensity that made Emma's breath catch. "What is it, boy?" Jack asked. Titan didn't break eye contact. Then, slowly, deliberately, he placed his right paw on Jack's knee. Emma's heart squeezed. "That's the handler salute. Daddy taught him that. It means Titan is choosing you as his new handler." "Emma, I'm not a canine officer. I don't—" "It doesn't matter what you are," Emma's voice cracked. "It matters who you are. Titan knows. He always knows." Jack stared down at the massive dog, and Emma saw something break in his eyes. Pain. Loss. The same grief she'd been carrying since Daddy died. "I can't replace your dad," Jack said quietly, speaking to both of them. "I don't want you to replace him." Emma wiped her eyes. "I want you to finish what he started. I want you to make them pay." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with promise and danger. Jack placed his hand on Titan's head. "All right, buddy. You want me as your handler? Then I need you to trust me completely. Can you do that?" Titan's tail moved, just once. A single decisive wag. "Good. Because if we're going to survive this, all 3 of us need to work as a team." Jack looked at Emma. "That includes you. No more running off alone. No more trying to handle this by yourself. We're in this together now. Understand?" Emma nodded, feeling something loosen in her chest. She hadn't realized how heavy carrying everything alone had been until someone else offered to share the weight. Jack plugged in the USB drive. The first file that opened was a video. Daddy's face filled the screen, and Emma's breath stopped. There he was, alive, talking, real. Except he wasn't real anymore. He was a ghost, trapped in digital memory. "If you're watching this," Daddy said, his voice tight with exhaustion, "it means they got to me. My name is Chief Petty Officer Marcus Reyes, and I'm recording this as evidence and insurance. 3 months ago, I took a job with Volkov Solutions, a private military contractor. The job was supposed to be simple, security consultation for naval logistics, but what I found was anything but simple." Jack leaned closer to the screen. "Volkov is using military shipments through Naval Base San Diego to smuggle weapons to criminal organizations in Mexico and Central America. They've bribed Navy logistics officers, port authorities, and customs officials. The operation is worth hundreds of millions, and it's been running for at least 5 years." Emma watched her father's face, saw the fear and determination warring in his eyes. "I documented everything. Shipment manifests that don't match cargo, financial transfers to offshore accounts, communications between Volkov executives and cartel representatives. I tried to report it through my chain of command, but that's when I realized the corruption goes higher than I thought. My commanding officer told me to stand down. When I refused, the threats started." Daddy's hand moved off screen, and when it returned, he held up a photograph. Emma recognized it immediately. Herself, taken from a distance, walking to school. Her stomach turned to ice. "They made it clear. Back off, or my daughter pays the price." So I backed off. I played along. I pretended to forget what I'd seen. But I didn't forget. I documented everything, and I hid it where only Emma could find it. Tears streamed down Emma's face. Titan pressed against her leg, whining softly. "If you're watching this, Emma, it means I ran out of time. But you haven't. Take this evidence to someone you can trust, someone outside the system, someone who understands what it means to fight for what's right, even when the world tells you to give up." Daddy's eyes seemed to look directly at her through the screen. "I love you, sweetheart. Be brave. Warriors never quit." The video ended. Jack sat back, his jaw clenched so tight Emma could see the muscles jumping. "Volkov Solutions, I've heard of them. They recruit former special operators, promise big money. But there've been rumors. Allegations of illegal activity that never stick." "Because they pay people to make problems disappear," Emma said, her voice hollow. "People like Daddy." "Not like your dad." Jack's voice was fierce. "Your dad couldn't be bought, couldn't be scared off. He did exactly what a warrior should do. He stood up for what was right. Consequences be damned." "And they killed him for it." "Which means we can't let it be for nothing." Jack opened the next file. Shipping manifests filled the screen. Pages and pages of documentation showing discrepancies between official records and actual cargo. Weapons listed as machine parts. Ammunition listed as industrial components. A paper trail that would make any investigator's eyes light up. "This is enough to bring down the entire operation," Jack said, scrolling through files. "But it's also enough to get us both killed if the wrong people find out we have it." Titan's head snapped up suddenly, his ears rotating toward the apartment door. Emma's heart kicked into overdrive. "What is it?" Jack held up a hand for silence. Titan's low growl started deep in his chest, building slowly. Not the warning growl from earlier. This was different. Aggressive. Ready. "How many?" Jack whispered to the dog. Titan barked twice, paused, barked once more. "3 hostiles," Jack translated. He moved to the window, staying low, peering through the blinds. Black sedan parked across the street, 2 men in front, 1 in back. They're watching this building. Emma's hands started shaking. How did they find us so fast? Doesn't matter. What matters is they're here. Jack's voice shifted into command mode. Emma, grab your jacket. Tighten, heel. But Tighten didn't heel. He moved to the door, positioning himself between the entrance and Emma, his body coiled like a spring ready to release. We can't go out the front, Jack said, already moving toward the bedroom. Fire escape, back window, move, now. Emma scrambled after him, her mind racing. 3 men, probably armed, probably trained, and all she had was 1 seal and 1 dog against an organization wealthy enough to buy entire governments. Jack threw open the bedroom window, cold air rushing in. The metal fire escape rattled as he climbed out first, then reached back for Emma. Come on, hurry. Emma grabbed his hand, letting him pull her through. Tighten leaped out after her, landing with barely a sound despite his size. Down, Jack whispered, starting down the metal stairs. Quiet as you can. They descended quickly, Emma's heart hammering with every step. 1 floor. 2 floors. Almost to the ground. That's when the shout came from above. There! Fire escape! Jack cursed and dropped the last 6 feet, landing in a crouch. He caught Emma as she jumped, Tighten landing beside them. Run, Jack commanded. Parking lot. My truck. They sprinted across the alley, footsteps pounding behind them. Emma's lungs burned, her legs screaming, but fear pushed her faster. A gunshot cracked through the air. Emma screamed. Jack yanked her down behind a dumpster, Tighten pressing his body over hers. Another shot ricocheted off metal somewhere above their heads. They're shooting at us, Emma gasped, her whole body shaking. They're actually... Stay down. Jack's voice was ice cold, combat ready. He pulled out his phone, fingers flying. Chen, I need backup at my location, now. Volkov operatives, armed, actively engaging. Tighten suddenly lunged forward, snarling viciously. Emma heard a man yelp in pain, then the sound of something heavy hitting the ground. Good boy, Jack said. Hold. Tighten didn't release, his jaws locked on the attacker's arm. Jack moved fast, disarming the man, stripping his weapon. How many more? He demanded. The man spat blood. Enough. You think you can protect that kid? Reyes thought the same thing. Look how that worked out for him. Jack's expression went deadly calm. Difference is, I'm not alone, and I'm very motivated. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. The attacker smiled through broken teeth. You think the cops will save you? Half of them are on Volkov's payroll. Emma's blood turned to ice. If they couldn't trust the police, couldn't trust official channels, couldn't trust anyone in authority, then who could they trust? Jack seemed to have the same thought. His jaw tightened, and he looked at Emma with an expression that said everything was about to get much worse. We need to disappear, he said quietly. Completely off the grid. No phones, no credit cards, no electronic trail. For how long? However long it takes to find someone we can trust with this evidence. The sirens stopped outside the building. Car doors slammed. Voices shouted commands. Jack pulled Emma to her feet. When I say run, you run. Don't stop. Don't look back. Tighten will guide you to the truck. Understand? What about you? I'll be right behind you. But Emma, if something happens, if I don't make it, you take Tighten and that USB drive, and you find a way to get it to the media. Every news outlet you can find. Make it impossible for them to bury. Promise me. Emma's tears came hot and fast. I can't do this without you. Yes, you can. You're Marcus Reyes's daughter. You're braver than you know. Jack squeezed her shoulder. But it won't come to that. I'm not dying today, and neither are you. Now, run! They burst from behind the dumpster, Titan leading the way with tactical precision. The dog moved like he was back in combat, checking corners, signaling all clear, guiding them through the chaos. Jack's truck appeared ahead, and Emma's hope surged. Almost there. Almost safe. Titan skidded to a stop so suddenly Emma nearly crashed into him. The dog's hackles rose, a deep growl rumbling. Emma looked up and felt her heart stop. A man stood beside the truck. Not just any man. She recognized him from the house. From the night Daddy died. Lieutenant Derek Vaughn, Daddy's former teammate. The man Daddy had trusted most in the world. "Hello, Emma," Vaughn said, his voice pleasant and cold. "Your father sent you right to me. How considerate." Jack moved instantly, putting himself between Emma and Vaughn. "You were Marcus's friend." "I was Marcus's mistake." Vaughn's smile was razor thin. He should have kept his mouth shut, should have taken the money, should have understood that some fights you don't win. "He won," Emma heard herself say, her voice shaking but fierce. "He got the evidence out. He made sure everyone would know what you did." Vaughn's expression darkened. "That USB drive? It's worthless without witness testimony. Without Marcus alive to verify it. Without me?" Emma interrupted. "I'm a witness. I saw you at our house. I heard your voice. I know what you did." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Vaughn's face. Jack pressed the advantage. "She's not the only witness. I've already uploaded copies of that evidence to 3 different secure servers. Kill us, and it automatically releases to every news organization in the country. The dead man's switch is armed. So ask yourself, is silence worth triggering a media firestorm that will destroy everyone involved?" Vaughn's hand moved toward his jacket. Titan launched. 70 pounds of trained aggression hit Vaughn in the chest, driving him backward. The man's gun flew from his hand, skittering across pavement. Jack was on him in seconds, pinning him down with brutal efficiency. "You betrayed your team. You betrayed your brother, and you killed a good man for money." "You don't know what it's like," Vaughn gasped. 20 years of service, and what do you get? A pension that won't pay the bills, medical coverage that won't cover the damage. We gave everything, and they gave us nothing." "So you sold out." Jack's voice was disgusted. "You chose money over honor." "I chose survival." "You chose wrong." Police cars screeched into the parking lot, real ones this time, with Agent Chen leading the charge. Emma sagged with relief as federal agents swarmed the scene. Chen approached, taking in the situation with sharp eyes. "Lieutenant Commander, looks like you've been busy." "Just protecting a witness," Jack said, not releasing his hold on Vaughn. Chen nodded to his team. "Take him, full custody, no bail, no deals." As they hauled Vaughn away, Emma finally let herself breathe. But the relief was short-lived. Chen's expression was grave. "We need to talk, somewhere secure, because what you've uncovered, it's bigger than Volkov Solutions. Much bigger." Jack glanced at Emma, then at Titan, then back at Chen. "How much bigger?" "Big enough that I'm not sure who to trust in my own agency. Big enough that Marcus Reyes wasn't the first person they killed. And you won't be the last if we don't move fast." Emma felt the ground shift beneath her feet. She'd thought finding the evidence would end this, that justice would be simple once the truth came out. But nothing about this was simple. And the war Daddy had started was far from over. Chen led them to an unmarked safe house on the outskirts of San Diego, a nondescript ranch-style building that looked abandoned, but hummed with surveillance equipment inside. Emma clutched Titan's collar as they entered, her nerves frayed to breaking. Every door they walked through felt like it might be a trap. "Sit," Chen said, gesturing to a table in what should have been a dining room but was clearly a tactical operations center. Monitors lined one wall, showing camera feeds from multiple locations. "We need to go through everything on that drive. Every file, every piece of evidence." Jack didn't sit. He positioned himself between Emma and the door, his body language screaming distrust. "You said this goes higher than Volkov Solutions. How high?" Chen pulled out his own laptop, his expression grim. "Naval Special Warfare Command, Pentagon Procurement, Congressional Oversight Committees. This isn't just a smuggling operation, Harrison. It's a systematic corruption network that's been operating for over a decade." Emma felt the words slam into her like physical blows. "You're saying Daddy found something that important?" "Your father found the missing piece we've been searching for." Chen opened a file folder, spreading photographs across the table. "NCIS has been investigating weapons theft from military stockpiles for 8 years. Every time we got close, witnesses disappeared, evidence vanished, cases got shut down from above. Marcus was the first person who documented everything before they could silence him," Jack said quietly, understanding dawning. "Not quite." Chen pulled out another photograph, this one showing a Navy captain Emma didn't recognize. Captain Richard Holbrook. He was investigating the same corruption 3 years ago. He allegedly committed suicide by jumping off the Coronado Bridge. His body was found with his service weapon missing and a note that was clearly forged. Emma's stomach churned. "They killed him too." "We couldn't prove it. Until now." Chen tapped the USB drive sitting on the table. "If your father's documentation is as thorough as you say, it's the first hard evidence we've had. Evidence that can't be disappeared because you've already distributed it." Jack's jaw tightened. "Which means every person involved has a vested interest in making sure Emma and I don't live long enough to testify." "Exactly." Chen met his gaze. "That's why I need to know who else has copies of this evidence, where you sent it, how it's protected." Something in Jack's posture shifted. "Why?" "Because we need to secure it, control the release, make sure it goes through proper channels so the case holds up in court." "Proper channels." Jack's voice went cold. "The same proper channels that got Marcus killed?" Chen stiffened. "Lieutenant Commander, I understand your suspicion, but do you?" Jack moved closer, and Emma saw the seal in him now, the warrior calculating threats. "Because here's what I'm hearing. You want me to tell you where I hid the only leverage keeping this little girl alive. You want me to trust you, despite the fact that corruption apparently reaches into the highest levels of command. And you want me to believe that you're different from every other person who's tried to bury this. I'm trying to protect you." "Or you're trying to control the narrative." Jack pulled Emma closer. "Marcus trusted his chain of command, and they killed him for it. I'm not making the same mistake." Chen's hand moved slightly, just a fraction of an inch toward his hip. Titan's growl erupted instantly, the dog's lips pulling back from his teeth. "Don't," Jack warned. "That dog is trained to disable threats in under 2 seconds, and right now, you're registering as a threat." Emma's heart hammered. This was wrong. Everything about this felt wrong. Chen was supposed to be helping them, but the way he looked at Jack, the way his fingers kept twitching toward his weapon. "Emma," Chen said, his voice softer now, trying a different approach. "Your father was a hero. He deserves justice. But we have to do this right. We have to make sure the evidence is admissible, protected, legal. Otherwise, everything he died for means nothing."
"My daddy died because people he trusted betrayed him," Emma said, her voice shaking but firm. "He died because he thought there were rules and procedures that would protect him. But there aren't. Not when the people making the rules are the same ones breaking them."
Chen's expression hardened. "You're a child. You don't understand how complex—"
"I understand that you want something from us."
Emma stood up, Titan immediately pressing against her leg. "And I understand that every single adult who's told me to trust them has either lied to me or tried to hurt me. Except Jack." "Emma, listen." Jack's phone buzzed suddenly, cutting through the tension. He glanced at it, and Emma saw his face go pale. "What?" she asked. "What is it?" Jack showed her the screen. A text from an unknown number with a single photograph attached. Emma's breath stopped. It was her. Taken from across the street, through the window of this safe house, right now. "They're here," Jack breathed. Chen spun toward the monitors, and Emma saw it at the same moment he did. 4 figures moving toward the house from different angles. Professional. Coordinated. Armed. "How did they find us?" Chen demanded, reaching for his radio. Jack grabbed his wrist. "Because you led them here. Either you're compromised or your communications are." "That's impossible. This is a secure—" The window exploded inward. Glass showered the room as something metallic clattered across the floor. Emma didn't know what it was, but Titan did. The dog grabbed her jacket in his teeth and yanked her down hard, his body covering hers. "Flashbang!" Jack shouted. The explosion of light and sound felt like the world ending. Emma couldn't see, couldn't hear, couldn't breathe. Strong hands grabbed her, lifting her. She screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the ringing in her ears. Then Titan's weight was on top of someone, and she heard a man's scream cut short. Her vision slowly returned, shapes and shadows resolving into chaos. Jack was fighting 2 men at once, his movements brutal and efficient. Chen was down, bleeding from his head, and the 4th attacker was reaching for Emma. Titan hit him like a missile, 70 pounds of fury and training driving the man into the wall. The attacker's gun fired, the shot going wild, and Emma felt the heat of the bullet pass inches from her head. "Emma, run!" Jack's voice cut through the chaos. "Back door, now!" She scrambled to her feet, legs shaking, lungs burning. Titan released the attacker and bounded after her, blood on his muzzle. Emma didn't look back. She ran through the house, following the dog's lead, trusting him to know the way out. The back door appeared ahead. Emma hit it full force, bursting into cold air and fading daylight. Behind her, more gunshots, shouting, the sounds of violence that made her stomach heave. "Jack!" she screamed, spinning around. He appeared in the doorway, blood on his face, dragging Chen with him. "Go! Get to the tree line!" Emma ran, Titan at her side, her heart screaming in her chest. The woods were 50 yards away. 40. 30. Another shot cracked the air. Emma felt something tug at her jacket, hot and sharp, and then she was falling. "Emma!" Jack's voice was raw with terror. She hit the ground hard, the air knocked from her lungs. For a horrible moment, she thought she'd been shot. But no, it was just her jacket. Just a bullet hole through fabric, not flesh. Titan was there instantly, nudging her, whining desperately. "I'm okay," she gasped. "I'm okay, boy." Jack reached them, his arms going around her, lifting her. "Can you run?" She nodded, not trusting her voice. They crashed into the tree line just as more attackers poured from the house. Jack sat Emma down behind a thick oak, his breathing ragged. "Chen?" Emma asked. Dead. They shot him when he tried to radio for backup. Jack's voice was hollow. This was a setup. They used him to get to us. Emma's world tilted. Chen had been their ally, their protection, and now he was dead. Just like Daddy. Just like everyone who tried to help them. We're alone, she whispered. No. Jack's hand found hers in the growing darkness. We have each other, and we have Titan. That's enough. But it wasn't enough. Not against trained killers. Not against an organization with unlimited resources. Not against corruption that reached into the highest levels of government. Titan's low growl vibrated against Emma's leg. More men were coming, spreading through the woods, hunting them like animals. Jack pulled out the USB drive, pressing it into Emma's palm. Listen to me very carefully. If they separate us, if something happens to me, you take this and you run. You find a way to get it to the media. No. Emma's voice cracked. I can't lose you too. I can't. You won't. But if you do, you have to be ready. You have to. A man's voice called out through the darkness. Harrison, we know you're here. Send out the girl and the evidence and you walk away alive. Jack's jaw clenched. They're lying. We don't have to do this, the voice continued. Marcus made his choice. Don't make the same mistake. Emma felt rage burn through her fear. They're talking about my daddy like he was wrong. Like he should have just let them kill people and smuggle weapons and destroy everything. Your daddy was the bravest man I never met, Jack said quietly. And you're just like him. Footsteps crunched through fallen leaves, getting closer. Titan's muscles coiled, ready to attack on command. Jack's mind was racing. Emma could see it. Calculating angles, possibilities, odds. They were outnumbered, outgunned, trapped in darkening woods with killers closing in. There's a river about half a mile east, Jack whispered. If we can reach it, we can use the water to lose our scent trail. Titan's trained for water insertions. He can guide us. Half a mile with them hunting us? It's our only chance. Emma looked at the dog pressed against her side, at the seal who'd become her protector, at the USB drive containing the evidence that had already cost so many lives. Then we run, she said. They moved through the woods like ghosts, Titan leading them through the darkest paths, his training guiding them away from threats Emma couldn't see but he could sense. Every snapping twig made her heart stop. Every distant voice sent adrenaline spiking through her veins. Minutes stretched like hours. Emma's lungs burned. Her legs screamed, but she didn't stop. The sound of rushing water reached them first. Then the river appeared through the trees, dark and fast-moving, reflecting the last light of day. In, Jack commanded. Titan first, then you, then me. Titan plunged into the water without hesitation, powerful legs churning. Emma followed, gasping as the cold shocked her system. Jack was right behind her, one arm around her waist, helping her stay afloat as they let the current carry them downstream. Shouts erupted behind them. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness, searching. Under, Jack breathed, and they went beneath the surface. Emma held her breath until her lungs screamed, until she thought she might pass out, until Jack's hand pulled her back up into blessed air. They'd drifted 100 yards downstream. The voices were fainter now, more distant. They crawled out on the far bank, shivering violently, soaked to the bone. Titan shook himself, water flying, then immediately pressed against Emma's side, sharing what warmth he could. We need shelter, Jack said, his teeth chattering. Hypothermia will kill us just as fast as bullets. They stumbled through more woods, exhaustion making Emma's movements clumsy. Just when she thought she couldn't take another step, a structure appeared ahead. Some kind of old hunting cabin, abandoned but still standing. Jack kicked the door open. Inside was dark and musty, but it was dry. That was enough. He found some old blankets in a closet, threadbare but serviceable. "Get out of those wet clothes. Wrap up. I'll keep watch." Emma's fingers fumbled with frozen buttons. Titan stayed close, his body heat like a furnace. She wrapped herself in the musty blankets, shaking so hard she could barely hold on. Jack stood at the window, watching the woods, his body rigid with tension. "They'll find us," Emma said through chattering teeth. "Eventually, but not tonight. We bought ourselves time." "Time for what? We can't run forever. We can't fight them. We can't trust anyone." Jack turned to look at her, and in the dim light filtering through dirty windows, Emma saw something shift in his expression. Not defeat, resolution. "Your father's video," he said slowly. "He mentioned shipment numbers, dates. If we can intercept one of those shipments, catch them in the act, we'd have proof that can't be denied." Emma's exhausted mind struggled to follow. "How? We're 2 people and a dog against an entire organization." 2 people, a dog, and the element of surprise. Jack's voice took on an edge. "They think they've won. They think they've scattered us, terrified us, made us too afraid to fight back. But that's where they're wrong. Jack, we almost died tonight." "I know, and we might die tomorrow. But if we do, we die fighting. We die making sure your father's sacrifice meant something." He knelt beside her, his voice fierce. "Emma, I'm not going to lie to you. What I'm thinking is dangerous. It's probably suicidal. If you want me to get you somewhere safe, hide you with people I trust outside the system, I'll do it. But if you want justice, real justice, we have to stop running and start hunting." Emma looked at Titan, at the dog who'd carried her father's legacy, who'd chosen Jack as his new handler, who'd protected her through 3 days of hell. Then she looked at Jack, this seal who could have walked away but chose to stand. "Daddy never ran from a fight," she said. "No, he didn't." "Then neither will I." Jack's expression softened with something that looked like pride and heartbreak mixed together. "Okay, then here's what we do." He pulled out his phone, waterlogged but still functional. "Marcus's documentation showed a shipment scheduled for tomorrow night. Naval Base, San Diego, Pier 7. If we can get there, document it, broadcast it live so they can't bury it. They'll kill us the moment we show our faces on that base. Probably. Unless we give them a target they can't resist." Jack's voice went quiet. "Me." Emma's blood turned cold. "What?" "I'll turn myself in. Tell them I'll trade the evidence for your safety. They'll bring me to the base, try to force me to reveal where I hid the files. While they're focused on me, you and Titan infiltrate the pier, document the shipment, and get the proof out." "That's insane. You'll die." "Maybe. Or maybe I'll buy enough time for you to finish what your father started." "No," Emma's voice cracked. "I've lost my daddy. I can't lose you too." Jack's hand touched her shoulder. "Emma, you're the strongest person I've ever met. You're 10 years old and you've survived things that would break grown warriors. You don't need me. You never did." "Yes, I do." Tears burned hot on her frozen cheeks. "I need you because you're the only person who kept your promises. The only person who didn't lie. The only person who made me feel like maybe I wasn't alone in this." Something broke in Jack's expression. He pulled her into a hug, and Emma felt him shaking too. Felt the weight of impossible choices pressing down on both of them. "I promised your father I'd protect you," Jack whispered, "and that's exactly what I'm going to do." Titan pushed between them, whining, his eyes moving from Emma to Jack and back again. The dog understood something was wrong, understood the danger, but he stayed. Because that's what warriors did. They stayed. They fought. They never quit, even when quitting was the only logical choice. Morning light filtered through the cabin's grimy windows, revealing just how close they'd come to dying. Emma's clothes hung on a broken chair, still damp, her body wrapped in blankets that smelled like decay and abandonment. Titan lay across her legs, his warmth the only thing keeping hypothermia at bay. Jack stood at the window, motionless for hours, watching for threats that never came. When he finally spoke, his voice was hoarse with exhaustion. "I need you to understand something, Emma. What we're about to do, there's no going back from it." She sat up, every muscle aching. "I know." "No, you don't." He turned to face her, and Emma saw the weight of command in his eyes, the burden of decisions that could end lives. "If we do this, if we go to that base tonight, one of us probably won't make it out. Maybe both of us. You need to be ready for that." "I've been ready since Daddy died." Emma's voice was steadier than she felt. "I've been ready since I sat on that pier for 3 days, starving and freezing, because I knew what they'd do if they caught me. I'm not a little kid who needs protecting anymore." "You're 10 years old." "I'm Marcus Reyes's daughter." The words came out fierce, final. "And that means something. It has to mean something." Jack's expression cracked slightly, revealing the grief underneath. "Your father would hate me for putting you in danger." "My father put himself in danger to protect me, to protect everyone. Now it's my turn." Titan lifted his head, looking between them, his tail giving a single thump of agreement. Jack rubbed his face, exhaustion and resignation warring in his features. "Okay, then we do this right. We plan every step, every contingency, because sloppy gets people killed." He pulled out his battered phone, water damage making the screen flicker, but Marcus's files were still there, still accessible. "The shipment arrives at 2200 hours. That's 10 p.m. Pier 7 is on the southern edge of the base, minimal security because it's supposed to be a routine logistics transfer." "Except it's not routine." "Except it's weapons bound for cartel territories, hidden in containers marked as humanitarian aid supplies." Jack's jaw clenched. "Your father's documentation shows this particular shipment is worth over $50 million. That's enough firepower to start a war." Emma felt sick. "And they killed Daddy for finding out about it." "They killed him because he wouldn't look the other way, because he believed in something more than money." Jack met her eyes. "I need you to believe in something too, Emma. I need you to believe that even if this goes wrong, even if we don't survive, getting this evidence out matters. Making sure people know the truth matters." "I believe in you," she said simply. The words hung between them, heavy with trust Emma wasn't sure Jack thought he deserved. He cleared his throat, emotions locked down behind military discipline. "Here's the plan. I make contact with Volkov Solutions. Tell them I want to negotiate. Me and the evidence in exchange for your safety and immunity. They'll agree because they need to know where I hid the backup files." "But you're not actually going to tell them." "No. I'm going to stall, make demands, create chaos. While they're focused on me, you and Titan enter the base through the maintenance tunnels. Marcus's files include base schematics. There's an access point near the eastern perimeter, rarely patrolled." Emma's hands trembled slightly. "And then what?" "You get to Pier 7. You document everything. Video, photos, anything that proves what they're doing. Then you upload it to every news outlet, every social media platform, every place you can think of. You make it impossible for them to bury. While you're being tortured for information you won't give them. Jack's silence was answer enough. There has to be another way, Emma whispered. There isn't. Not one that keeps you alive. He moved closer, kneeling so they were eye level. Emma, I've been a SEAL for 15 years. I've run missions in places you've never heard of, against enemies that make Volkov look like amateurs. I knew when I signed up that someday I might not come home. Your father knew that too. We made peace with it because the mission matters more than any one person. You're not just any person. Not to me. Something broke in Jack's carefully controlled expression. And you're not just a mission to me. But that's exactly why I have to do this. Because if I let them hurt you, if I let your father's sacrifice be for nothing, I'll never forgive myself. Titan pushed his head under Emma's hand, whining softly. The dog understood. Maybe better than either of them. When do we start? Emma asked, her voice barely audible. Now. We have 12 hours to get into position. They moved through the day like soldiers preparing for war. Jack showed Emma the base schematics, made her memorize the route, drilled her on what to do if things went wrong. Titan ran practice drills, responding to Emma's commands, proving he'd protect her no matter what. By the time darkness fell, Emma felt like she'd aged years in a single day. Jack made the call at 1900 hours, 7 p.m., his voice cold and professional when someone from Volkov Solutions answered. This is Lieutenant Commander Jack Harrison. I have the Reyes evidence and the girl. I want to negotiate terms. The voice on the other end was smooth, confident. You're in no position to negotiate, Commander. I'm in the exact position to negotiate. You want what I have, and I want to walk away from this. Let's make a deal. A pause. Then, what are your terms? Face-to-face meeting, Naval Base San Diego, Pier 7, 2200 hours. I bring the evidence. You guarantee the girl's safety and my immunity. We all walk away clean. How do we know you'll actually bring the evidence? Because I'm tired of running. Because I'm not Marcus Reyes. I don't have a death wish. I just want this over. Jack's voice was perfectly calibrated, balancing desperation with pragmatism. Do we have a deal or not? Another pause, longer this time. Emma could hear muffled voices, people conferring. Deal. But, Commander, if this is a trap, the girl dies first. Understand? Jack's knuckles went white on the phone. Understood. 2200 hours. Come alone. He ended the call and looked at Emma. They'll bring a dozen men, maybe more. They're not taking chances. Neither are we. Emma stood, Titan rising with her. Let's finish this. They drove in Jack's truck to within half a mile of the naval base, parking in an abandoned lot where shadows could hide them. Jack pulled out 2 comms units, military grade, encrypted. Keep this on. I'll be able to hear you, guide you if needed. He fitted one into Emma's ear, showing her how to activate it. If I tell you to run, you run. No questions, no hesitation. Understand? She nodded, throat too tight to speak. Jack pulled something else from his jacket. A small handgun, compact and deadly. Emma's eyes widened. Jack, I can't. You can. Your father taught you gun safety when you were 8. I saw the photos in his journal. Jack's voice was firm. This is a last resort, only if someone's about to hurt you and Titan can't stop them. Safety's on. Point and squeeze. Don't overthink it. Emma took the weapon with shaking hands. The metal was cold, heavy, real. This was really happening. They were really doing this. Emma? Jack's hands cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes.
You're the bravest person I've ever known. Your father would be so proud of you. I'm proud of you." Tears burn hot behind her eyes. "Come back to me, please." "I'll do everything I can."
He pulled her into a hug, brief but fierce. Then he knelt and touched Titan's head. "Protect her, boy. That's your mission now. Protect Emma." Titan's tail moved once. A promise. They separated at 2100 hours, 1 hour before the meeting. Jack heading toward the main gate, Emma and Titan slipping through darkness toward the maintenance tunnel entrance. The tunnel was exactly where Marcus's schematics showed, hidden behind overgrown vegetation and rust. Emma pulled open the access hatch, and cold air rushed out, smelling of mold and disuse.
"Okay, boy,"
she whispered to Titan.
"Daddy said you'd remember this place. He said you trained here."
Titan's ears perked forward. He sniffed the tunnel entrance, then looked back at Emma, waiting. They descended into darkness. The tunnel was narrow, claustrophobic, lit only by Emma's phone flashlight. Water dripped somewhere ahead. Small sounds echoed wrong, making her jump at shadows. Titan stayed pressed against her leg, guiding her forward when fear threatened to freeze her in place. Jack's voice crackled in her ear. "Emma, I'm at the gate. They're checking me in. How's your progress?"
"In the tunnel, heading toward Pier 7.
Her voice echoed strangely. "Good girl. Stay quiet. Stay alert." The tunnel split ahead. Emma checked the map on her phone, heart pounding. Left or right? Marcus's schematic showed left, but the marking was smudged, unclear. Titan pulled left without hesitation. Emma trusted him. They emerged 20 minutes later into a maintenance room filled with pipes and electrical equipment. Through a grimy window, Emma could see Pier 7 in the distance. Ships, containers, men moving with purpose. The shipment was already arriving. "Jack, I can see it. They're unloading now." His voice came back tense. "I'm being escorted to the pier. Anna, they have at least 15 men here, all armed. This is bigger than we thought." Emma's hands shook as she pulled out her phone, starting to record. She had to get closer, had to get clear footage that couldn't be disputed. Titan led her through shadows, using shipping containers as cover. They crept closer, close enough to hear voices now. "Careful with those crates. That's 5 million in hardware right there." "When's the truck arriving?" 20 minutes. We load and go before anyone notices the manifests don't match." Emma's phone captured everything. Faces, weapons, the Volkov Solutions logo on the men's uniforms, the naval base location in the background. Then she heard Jack's voice, not in her ear, but in real life, carrying across the pier. "I want to see her first. I want proof she's safe." Emma's breath caught. He was stalling for her, buying time, putting himself in more danger. A man laughed. "You're not in a position to make demands, Commander. Where's the evidence?" "Where's the girl?" "She's not here." "Did you really think we'd bring her? The moment we have what we want, she dies. You die. Everyone who knows about this dies." Emma's world tilted. They'd never intended to honor the deal. Jack had known that. He'd walked into this knowing he'd die. "Then I guess you don't get the evidence," Jack said, his voice steady despite the death sentence. "We'll torture it out of you." "Go ahead. I'm a SEAL. I've endured worse." The sound of a fist hitting flesh crackled through Emma's comm. Jack's grunt of pain. More blows. She bit her lip until she tasted blood, forcing herself not to scream. "Keep recording," Jack's voice gasped through the comm, so quiet she almost missed it. "Don't stop. Finish the mission." Tears streamed down Emma's face, but her hands stayed steady. She filmed everything. The weapons, the violence, the corruption.
Then Titan's body went rigid beside her. His growl started low, building. Emma looked up and felt her heart stop.
A man stood 10 feet away, weapon raised, pointed directly at her head. Well, well, the little girl who wouldn't quit. His smile was cold. Drop the phone, sweetheart. Nice and slow. Emma's hand moved toward the gun Jack had given her, hidden in her jacket. The man's finger tightened on the trigger. Don't even think about it. Titan launched. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. Emma screamed. But it wasn't Titan who fell. The man crumpled, his weapon clattering away, blood spreading across his chest. Emma stared at the smoking gun in her own hand, not remembering pulling it, not remembering firing. Emma! Jack's voice in her ear, desperate. What happened? Talk to me!
I shot someone.
Her voice didn't sound like hers.
He was going to kill us. I shot him.
Is he down? Emma looked at the man's still body.
Yes.
Then keep moving. You did what you had to. Stay focused. But Emma couldn't move, couldn't breathe. She'd killed someone. At 10 years old, she'd taken a life. Titan nudged her, hard, urgent, pulling her attention back. The dog grabbed her jacket and yanked, forcing her away from the body, away from the spiral of shock. Voices shouted nearby. Someone had heard the shot. They're coming for you, Jack said through the comm. Emma, upload those files, now. Everything you recorded. Do it now. Her fingers fumbled with her phone, shaking so badly she could barely control them. Upload to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, every news outlet she could think of. Her father's evidence combined with tonight's footage. The files started uploading, slowly, too slowly. Footsteps pounded toward her position.
Titan, guard,
Emma whispered. The dog positioned himself between her and the approaching threat, every muscle coiled. 3 men rounded the corner, saw her, raised their weapons. Titan attacked before they could fire, a blur of fur and fury. 1 man went down screaming. The second stumbled backward. The third, another gunshot, but not from Emma. The third man collapsed. Behind him stood a figure Emma recognized from her father's photographs. A Navy captain, older, with gray hair and medals on his chest. Go, he shouted to Emma. I've got them. Who? Captain David Martinez. I worked with your father. I've been investigating Volkov for 3 years. Your recording gave me everything I needed. He fired again, dropping another attacker. Run, kid! Get off this base! Emma didn't need to be told twice. She grabbed Titan's collar and ran, the upload progress bar on her phone slowly ticking toward completion.
Jack,
she gasped into the comm.
Jack, someone helped us. Captain Martinez. He said he knows about Daddy.
Silence.
Jack?
Still nothing.
Jack, please answer me.
The silence stretched, terrible and empty. Emma's legs pumped harder, tears blurring her vision. She couldn't lose him, not after everything, not when they were so close. She burst from the pier area into open ground, Titan racing beside her. Behind her, more gunfire, shouting, chaos erupting as Captain Martinez's intervention triggered something bigger. Her phone buzzed. Upload complete. The evidence was out. Everything. Marcus's documentation, tonight's video, the proof that couldn't be buried. Emma kept running toward the perimeter, toward freedom, toward survival. But without Jack's voice in her ear, she felt more alone than she'd ever been. Emma's lungs burned as she crashed through the perimeter fence, Titan tearing the chain link wide enough for her to squeeze through. Behind them, the naval base erupted into chaos. Sirens, shouting, the staccato crack of gunfire that made her stomach heave with each shot.
"Jack,"
she sobbed into the dead comm unit.
"Jack, please."
Only static answered. She ran until her legs gave out, collapsing behind a row of warehouses half a mile from the base. Titan circled her frantically, whining, nudging her shoulder, trying to make her move again. But Emma couldn't. Every part of her body screamed for rest, but worse than that, every part of her heart screamed that Jack was gone. Her phone buzzed incessantly, notifications flooding in. The video had gone viral in minutes. Thousands of views became tens of thousands. News outlets were already picking it up. Her father's evidence, combined with tonight's footage, was spreading faster than anyone could contain it. They'd won. The truth was out. But Emma felt like she'd lost everything.
"We have to go back," she gasped to Titan. "We have to find him."
Titan barked once, sharp and urgent, his body language screaming danger. Going back meant death. The dog knew it, even if Emma's heart refused to accept it. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Emma almost didn't answer, but something made her thumb the screen. "Emma Reyes?" A woman's voice, official, clipped.
"Who is this?"
"Special Agent Sarah Blackwell, FBI. We've been monitoring the situation at Naval Base San Diego. We've seen your footage. Emma, where are you right now?" Emma's voice cracked.
"I don't know. Somewhere near the base. Jack, Lieutenant Commander Harrison. He went to the pier, and he's not answering, and I think they killed him, and—"
"Emma, listen to me carefully. Multiple federal agencies are converging on that location. Local PD, FBI, Naval Criminal Investigative Service. We've issued arrest warrants for 17 individuals connected to Volkov Solutions."
"You did it. You got the evidence out." "I don't care about the evidence," Emma screamed into the phone. "Jack sacrificed himself so I could escape, and I left him there, and he's dead because of me."
"Emma, he's not dead." The words didn't register at first. Emma's brain refused to process them.
"What?"
"Lieutenant Commander Harrison is alive. Injured, but alive. He's in custody right now. Our custody, not theirs. We extracted him from Pier 7 6 minutes ago." Emma's entire world tilted.
"He's alive?"
"He's asking for you. We need your location so we can bring you in safely." Every instinct Emma had developed over 4 days of hell screamed not to trust this, not to believe it could be this simple. But Titan's ears had perked up at the woman's words, his tail giving a tentative wag, and dogs knew things humans couldn't. Emma gave her location. 17 minutes later, black SUVs surrounded her position. Emma tensed, ready to run, but then she saw him, Jack, limping, his face bloody and swollen, supported by 2 federal agents, but alive, breathing, real.
"Jack!"
Emma ran before conscious thought could stop her, slamming into him hard enough to make him grunt in pain. His arms wrapped around her immediately, one hand cradling the back of her head.
"I'm here. I'm okay. You did so good, Emma. So good."
She sobbed into his jacket, words incoherent, just holding him like he might disappear if she let go. Titan pressed against both of them, whining joyfully, his tail a blur. Agent Blackwell approached, her expression softening at the reunion. "We need to get you both to a secure location. There will be debriefing, medical attention, and a lot of questions. But Emma, I want you to understand something. What you did tonight, that took more courage than most adults will show in their entire lives. Your father would be incredibly proud." The words broke something in Emma's chest. Daddy would be proud. She'd finished his mission. She'd made his sacrifice mean something. The next 72 hours passed in a blur of doctors, investigators, and lawyers. Emma told her stories so many times the words started to sound mechanical. But Jack was there through all of it, refusing to leave her side even when his own injuries needed treatment. The news coverage was relentless. Emma's video had been viewed over 10 million times. Major networks were running 24-hour coverage of the scandal. Congressional investigations were launched. The Secretary of the Navy resigned. 17 arrests became 43. Volkov Solutions' CEO was captured trying to flee to Brazil. Captain David Martinez, the man who'd saved Emma's life on the pier, became the face of the investigation. He'd been working undercover for 3 years, gathering evidence, waiting for something concrete enough to bring down the entire network. Marcus's documentation, combined with Emma's footage, had given him everything he needed. "Your father contacted me 2 weeks before he died," Martinez told Emma during one of the debriefings. "He knew he was running out of time. He asked me to watch over you if anything happened to him. I'm sorry I couldn't save him, Emma, but I made sure his death wasn't for nothing." Emma nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. The question of what happened to Emma after everything was resolved hung over them all like a storm cloud. She had no living relatives, no family willing to take in a 10-year-old who'd just been through national trauma. Social services was mentioned, foster care, temporary placement facilities. Jack's jaw tightened every time someone brought it up. 5 days after the raid, he pulled Agent Blackwell aside. Emma watched through a conference room window, saw them talking intensely, saw Jack's body language shift from requesting to demanding. When he came back, his expression was carefully neutral. "Emma, can we talk?" They found a quiet corner, Titan settling between them like always. "I've been thinking," Jack started, then stopped, searching for words. "You know I ship out in 3 weeks. Deployment. I'll be gone for 6 months minimum." Emma's heart sank. Of course, she'd known this was coming. Jack had a life, a career, obligations that didn't include a traumatized 10-year-old. "I understand," she whispered, trying to be brave. "You don't have to worry about me. I'll be okay." "That's not..." Jack ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. "Emma, that's not what I'm trying to say. I talked to my command, explained the situation. They're giving me the option to take a shore assignment, 3 years minimum, no deployments, no extended operations." Emma's breath caught. "But you love being a SEAL. You said it's your whole life." "It was my whole life." Jack's voice went rough. "Before I met a little girl who reminded me what I was actually fighting for. What really matters." He took a deep breath. "I filed for emergency guardianship, full custody. I want you to come home with me, Emma. Permanently. I want to be your family. You and Titan both." The words didn't feel real. Emma stared at him, waiting for the catch, the condition, the moment this turned into another broken promise. "You're serious?" "I've never been more serious about anything in my life." Jack knelt so they were eye level. "I know I'm not your dad. I could never replace him. But I can be someone who keeps his promises, someone who shows up, someone who..." Emma threw her arms around his neck, cutting off his words. Yes, please. I want to stay with you. I want you to be my family." Jack's arms tightened around her, and Emma felt him shaking. "Okay then. We'll do the paperwork, make it official. You'll have a home, a real home." Titan barked, tail wagging furiously, pawing at both of them until they included him in the hug. The legal process took 6 weeks. Paperwork, background checks, home studies. interviews with psychologists to make sure Emma was emotionally capable of making this decision. Through it all, Jack never wavered, never showed doubt. He was there for every meeting, every session, every moment Emma needed him. The day the judge signed the guardianship papers, Emma officially became Emma Harrison. Not through adoption, not yet. They'd save that for when she was ready. But through legal guardianship that gave Jack every right and responsibility of a parent. They left the courthouse together, Jack's hand on her shoulder, Titan walking proudly beside them. "Can we go somewhere?" Emma asked quietly. "Where?" "Fort Rosecrans, where they buried Daddy." Jack nodded without hesitation. They stood at Marcus Reyes's grave an hour later, looking at the simple military headstone. Chief Petty Officer Marcus Reyes, Navy SEAL, canine handler, hero, beloved father. Emma knelt, touching the cold marble. "Hi, Daddy. I'm sorry it took so long to visit. Things have been crazy." Her voice wavered. "I finished it. Everything you asked me to do. I found the locker. I got the evidence out. I found someone who helped me." Someone who kept his promises. Jack stood a respectful distance back, giving her space. "His name is Jack," Emma continued. "He's a SEAL like you were. He's brave like you. He's good like you. And Daddy, Titan chose him, just like you said he would. The dog knows." Titan sat beside the grave, placing one paw on the stone. The handler's salute. The final goodbye to his first partner. "Jack's going to take care of me now. I'm going to live with him. He says I can visit you whenever I want." Tears streamed down Emma's face. "I miss you so much. Every day. But I'm not scared anymore. And I'm not alone." She placed a small American flag beside the headstone, the kind they handed out at military ceremonies. "I love you, Daddy. Thank you for teaching me to be brave. Thank you for leaving me clues. Thank you for making sure I'd be okay even when you couldn't be here." Jack's hand touched her shoulder gently. "Ready?" Emma nodded, standing. She looked at the grave one last time. "Warriors never quit. You taught me that. I promise I'll never forget." They walked back to Jack's truck together, a new family forged from tragedy and choice. 3 months later, Emma stood in a different kind of crowd. A press conference, reporters, cameras. The Navy had requested she be present for the official recognition ceremony honoring the officers who'd exposed the corruption. Captain Martinez received a commendation. Several other officers who'd risked their careers to help investigate received medals. And then, the Secretary of the Navy called Emma forward. "Emma Reyes," he said, his voice carrying across the assembled crowd. "Your courage in the face of impossible odds, your determination to see justice served, and your father's sacrifice have saved countless lives. Because of your actions, we've shut down a criminal network that had operated for over a decade. Weapons will not reach cartel territories. Criminals will not profit from military theft, and corruption within our ranks has been exposed and eliminated." He presented her with a folded American flag. "This flag flew over Naval Base San Diego on the night you infiltrated the pier. By order of the President of the United States, it is presented to you in recognition of your service to this country and in honor of your father's sacrifice." Emma accepted the flag with shaking hands, her voice barely a whisper. "Thank you." The crowd erupted in applause, standing ovation, cameras flashing. Emma looked back at Jack standing in the front row, Titan sitting perfectly at attention beside him. Jack smiled, pride shining in his eyes, and mouthed 2 words. "Your dad." That night, in the home she now shared with Jack and Titan, Emma carefully placed the folded flag on her dresser next to a photograph of her father in his SEAL uniform. Below it, she'd written a quote Daddy had always said, "Warriors protect those who cannot protect themselves. Warriors stand up for what's right. Warriors never quit." Jack appeared in her doorway. "Lights out soon. School tomorrow."
Jack?
Emma turned to face him.
Do you think Daddy would really be proud?
"I think your father is looking down at you right now, amazed by how strong his little girl became." Jack crossed to her, placing a gentle hand on her head. "You survived things that would break most people. You fought when others would have hidden. You trusted when you had every reason not to." "Yeah, Emma. I think he's proud." She hugged him tight, breathing in the scent of safety and home.
"I'm proud of you too," she whispered.
Jack's arms tightened around her. "That's mutual, kid. Now bed. You've got a math test tomorrow. And military heroes still have to pass 5th grade." Emma laughed despite herself, climbing into bed. Titan jumped up without permission, settling his massive bulk across her legs, like always. Jack didn't even try to make him get down anymore. Some battles weren't worth fighting.
"Jack?"
Emma said as he reached the door. "Yeah?"
"Thank you for not leaving. For choosing us."
His expression softened. "You two chose me first. I'm just smart enough to recognize a good team when I see one." He turned off the light, leaving the door cracked open the way Emma liked it. In the darkness, she could hear him moving around the house, checking locks, setting the alarm, doing the things that made her feel safe. Titan's warm weight against her legs, Jack's voice humming in the kitchen, the solid walls of a home that was really hers. For the first time since Daddy died, Emma felt something she'd thought she'd never feel again. Peace. The nightmares still came sometimes. Dreams of running, of gunfire, of Daddy's face on that video screen. But when she woke, gasping, Jack was always there within seconds, Titan's head on her chest, both of them reminding her she was safe. She was home. She was loved. Marcus Reyes had died fighting for what was right. But in dying, he'd given his daughter something even more precious than justice. He'd given her the chance to find a new family. A SEAL who understood sacrifice. A dog who understood loyalty. A home built not on blood, but on choice and courage, and the unbreakable bond between warriors who never quit. Emma drifted off to sleep with Titan's heartbeat steady beneath her hand, and Jack's footsteps moving through their home, standing watch like he'd done on countless missions in countless countries, protecting what mattered most. Warriors never quit. And neither would they. Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.